Germany has accepted a regime that is not only drastic, but a perversion, which is all they seem to recognize as power.
Quite. They're curious people. Come in, gentlemen. Make yourselves comfortable, please.
Oh, it's a splendid view, that. A view like that sets a man's imagination working.
I like to look at it when I'm at my desk.
Monarch of all you survey.
Hardly. And if I were so presumptuous, there's no shortage of rival claimants.
Oh, men like Khan and Tarkington, you mean? Think it's theirs by some ancient right, to be kept like it always has been forever and ever.
Now that's a world that the Khans can't control, because they'll never understand it. That river brings in influence and ideas that will one day overtake them. It's foolish of me. I seem to have left the brandy downstairs. Please excuse me for a moment.
He's a funny chap, Snaith, don't you think?
In what way?
Well, he's come up from nothing, made himself rich. But what's he after? What does he like?
Comfort, good food.
Oh, yes, I'll agree with you there. Must say, I was expecting some finicky little sandwiches, but that supper, it'd take some beating. All the same, though, to live on his own like he does.
A lot of us do.
Ah, yes, but you've been married. Snaith never has. Not that I've anything against bachelors, mind. Better off than with some wives. But he's got no juice. No, I like a man to have some juice. And he's close. You don't know what he's thinking half the time, and when you do, you don't know why. Well, I wouldn't have thought he was your sort, anyway, Astor.
Oh, I've met Snaiths in big cities who are naturally my enemies, but here, you find your allies where you can.
Sorry about that. Ah, brandy. Astor.
Thanks.
Huggins?
Not for me, thanks. I enjoy food such as you've given us tonight, but strong drink I never touch.
You'll join me on a cigar, though?
Oh, that I will accept.
You never do you, Astor?
No, I gave it up years ago.
Oh, please. Tell me if our smoking bothers you.
Oh, no, of course not.
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
Pity you're not a chapel man, Astor. Huggins surpassed himself tonight.
Oh?
He took his text from Isaiah, the habitation of dragons, and turned it against East Kingsport housing conditions. Do you know Gladstone Passage, Huggins?
Only too well.
I thought you had it in mind. Just last Wednesday, I presided over a case from there in the junior court. Girl, 13, soliciting. 8 people at home, sleeping in one room. Mother in mental hospital. Elder sister pregnant by the father. Procured an abortion. This child told us all of it. Pretty, eh?
Ooh.
Eh? Astor.
You know what I think. You know as well that Gladstone Passage is Kingsport's responsibility. We've some pretty warrens ourselves in our own county.
Why no, I'm quite ready to pluck the beam out of our own eye. If I weren't, you'd soon prompt me to it. As a matter of fact, it's odd you preaching that sermon tonight, Huggins, because I'd asked you to up here with a special purpose. You're both men who've specialised in housing one way or another. I think you know that Kingsport feels it can't go much further by itself. It's got to that point where it needs the county council's cooperation.
More land for housing estates, you mean?
Precisely. Ever thought about Leam Ferry Wastes? Astor?
No drainage, is there?
Not at present. But supposing the ministry sanctions the new road from Scarrow to Kiplington, it will pass right across the wastes. Now, we should have to drain to some extent anyway, and it would make the area exceedingly accessible. I should like you, if you will, to come here for a moment and look at this. I've had a model made, partly for my own amusement, but I want you to help me decide if there might not be something more than amusement in it.
And There's the waste.
Yes, 2.5 square miles of absolutely useless land at present belongs to the Ramington Panel Company. Going for a song, but notice its location. It's no further from Kingsport than Clixton Garden villages. In fact, it's much nearer for men working in Skerrow and Fleetmire. And if the Ministry of Health would let us drain it as part of a big new town planning scheme and cooperate with Kingsport to move the families out of Skerrow Yards and Gladstone Passageway. Oh, it's a dream, of course, and Westminster may turn us down flat, but...
The first thing is the road, isn't it?
Oh, yes, all else follows from that. Just let your imaginations run free for a moment. A whole new market will be opened up for that part of the South Riding. Think of it, Huggins. Think of it. Think of the wonders fresh air and space and freedom could work. The figures for tuberculosis, rickets, and the other infantile scourges in East Kingsport could be reduced, perhaps wiped out altogether. We'd need a new elementary school, but grammar school children could be divided between Dalsall, Kiplington, and Kingsport. And no doubt with a new workforce there, the more far-sighted industrialists could be persuaded to move their factories out of the congestion of the cities. You see what I mean about your sermon tonight, Huggins?
Oh, I do indeed. My goodness, you know, if we could do all that, we'd transform the face of the county. Clear 3/4 of the slums of Kingsport. There's no end to the repercussions.
We've got to build for the future. We've got to justify our power. Well, there's your desert, Huggins. The question is, can we make it blossom?
Hello. Well, I saw you getting out of a taxi down the road, but I was just a bit too far away to call out. Can I come in?
Yes, of course.
Thanks. You've been away?
Yes. Why? Did you call?
Yes, I did.
Well, can I offer you some sherry?
No, thanks.
Well, what about a cup of tea, Anne? I was just going to make one for myself. How are things in the Mother of Parliaments?
Oh, full of the usual give and take and compromise.
It's good to know they're flourishing somewhere. I see the Times reported your speech in the unemployment debate the other week.
Yes.
Oh, you're becoming quite well known as, what's the term? A prominent backbench spokesman. We'll see you in the cabinet yet.
Oh, if ever a Labour government stays in office long enough to give the old men a chance to tire themselves out.
Yes. Why did you come, David? I thought we'd agreed to differ and part.
I never took that as final. I've been thinking about you. It occurred to me that you might have changed your mind.
Or you yours? You haven't, though, have you?
You still won't marry me.
Not on your terms, David. Not at the expense of my work. And you didn't fancy the alternative I offered you, did you?
To become my mistress? Oh, what sort of alternative is that?
One that would have allowed us to find some joy in one another whilst fulfilling ourselves as individuals. But you don't believe in the woman as an individual, do you? To you, she's the helpmate who has to find her satisfaction through your achievement, just an appendage.
A compliment.
Completing you, David, diminishing me. Phew. No, I'm selfish enough to know I couldn't stand it for 10 minutes. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm leaving London.
You're what?
I said I'm leaving London.
Where are you going?
Kiplington,
Where on earth is that?
a little town on the Yorkshire coast.
It sounds like the back of beyond.
It is. The last town in England, some people call it. But I'm going. In the autumn term, I take up my appointment as headmistress of the Kiplington High School for girls. Milk and sugar?
No, of course not. Now listen, Sarah. Sarah, you're not doing this because of us, are you?
No. No. If things had been different, well, I might have stayed on. Or at least not gone so far away. But they weren't. And it did hurt, David. But I've got over it now. Sore places become bruises, and bruises just fade away. No, I took a good look at myself, and realized that I was 39 years old. I could stay on at the South London, wait for Tatus to retire, step into her shoes, and never build anything of my own.
You're going to miss everything you've enjoyed in London. Concerts, political meetings, friends.
Well, of course I will. But I'm not going to stagnate out there, no fear. There'll be far too much to do. I'm a fighter, David, and I love teaching. I don't think you've ever understood just how much. And there's no chance of a love affair up there in the South Riding. And a good thing, too. I think I'm born to be a spinster. And if that's the case, then by God, I'm going to spin.
It's a terrible waste.
No, it isn't. It would be a terrible waste if I were to throw away everything and devote my time to bolstering up one man.
But I don't
I've got
just want you as
brains,
a
David,
bolster,
and
but of
willpower
course
and
you've got
organising
brains
ability and a
and
hot
everything
temper. And I really love teaching. Those are my assets. And I know what I'm going to do with them. I've made up my mind. It's a decrepit old building. Daughters of local shopkeepers. A sticky board of governors. Moribund local authority, all in a dead end of nowhere. That's my material. And out of it, I'm going to build a great school.